2025. I think we might have hit on this question before, and we're always evolving. Biggest travel hack right now.
Oh, biggest travel hack. Well, I've got one I'll say briefly, and maybe my brain will kick into another one. This is just for my airport. So I found out if I get valet, it costs like much more. But if you book the garage, and then you click next, it will upgrade you to the valet at much lower price. So you never book valet first. You book the garage, and then so that saves you money. Our valet is very affordable here. So that's my life hack. I don't waste any time in the airport.
No, it's incredible.
Yeah, I'm usually dropping my car off as my plane's boarding or about to board. I have Clear. Travel hack, like Clear is great if your airport has it, or if you travel a lot. So like Minneapolis, their pre-check can get deep.
I've been there.
I've been there too, and I was like, oh my God, Clear, scan your eyes, go right in. It's great. So I couldn't live without Clear.
So what is like what is the main benefit? Like, what do you have to do when you do Clear and then you go through? Do they
Clear? They do like background checks and everything,
right?
So
but like, do you put your bag on a thing and they?
Oh no, you go in, you scan your eyes, and they put you right up to the front of the pre-check line, and they the Clear person will walk up, show them their badge, and say he's with Clear, he's good.
How much was the price?
$100 and something a year.
And it's $75 for pre-check for 5 years.
You have to have both.
Oh,
I mean, you can have Clear with general boarding. But you still have to take off your shoes and jacket and belt and all that.
Oh, so Clear, you do none of that.
Clear, if you go through pre-check, you just do pre-check things.
Got it.
Clear just gets you to the front of the
line.
Yeah.
Good old Evan Silver time.
Yeah, that's my hack. I probably have more that I've been doing for so long. I just think everybody else does.
I hate that this was my question. I feel like my answer is so stupid.
What is yours?
You're gonna laugh at me. So, I found out the hard way. All of you know that I grew up financially somewhat challenged. That was my story. So I was flying for like whatever I could find was like the cheapest rate, whatever connections, whatever airports, didn't care so much it didn't care. I had a bad flight on the way home, and we're right now Amex people. So I went to the Delta lounge. There was a bunch of mishaps with my flight, so I had a bunch of time to kill. And I was like, just make me feel cared for, right? Delta, come through. And turns out that my understanding was I thought that I could just, book whatever cheap rate that I could, and that automatically got me into the lounge because I had the purple card. Turns out,
is that what it was?
That's what I found out.
I didn't know that.
Well, I just tested it on this last flight.
You got to get main cabin.
Yep. So
don't get refundable. We fly so much, we don't need refunds. We can just take it as a credit.
Thanks, Dad.
Well, I mean, obviously, you just went from booking the economy seats, and now you're calling me Dad because I'm trying to coach you up. Wow, way to take feedback there.
That's why I said that. I was like, I hate my answer. Your answer is so much better. And like mine is
everybody's like, you never get the
when was seats. What is your first time? Yeah, I'm learning. We're all at different phases of learning. Maybe that's what we can say. But yeah, so that's my main one. The other one is I actually convert my toiletries down to proper size. So one time I let my pre-check lapse. No comments, please. And I had to go through the regular line, and they threw away all my fancy face wash. So I learned that like the pre-check, they were just letting me through, right? For whatever reason, the regular line, they were very much like, sir, remember, there's supposed to be this many ounces. I was like, I don't care. And
I care so much. Hang on. I do care.
Well, it turned into that. I was like, all of a sudden I'm like, well, I am.
Are you an aisle or a window seat guy?
Always aisle.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Like if the seat next to me doesn't book, I'll spend a little bit of time next to the window, but like for me, bonus legroom. Oh, so I just heard this. So if you're in 2 seats, right? Person that has the window gets elbow priority. Have you ever heard this? Like they get like of the shared armrest, they get elbow
I've
priority.
heard the middle person gets
elbow.
both rests.
Well, yeah. If there's 3 seats, middle person gets elbow priority. Aisle person gets one leg extended is what we call it, right? Yeah.
Interesting. Well, I always fly first class, so do it. No, I'm kidding. I don't always.
When you get upgraded.
Yeah, when I get upgraded. First off,
and also don't pay for that.
That's what I was about to say. Like first, unless you're going like China or something like that, it
then
might
maybe.
be. But like domestically, I just don't feel like first class is worth it. Is the room great? Yes. Like I can get drinks and snacks in the airport. It's good.
Right.
I know I sound like very ungrateful, but what I'm saying is it's not worth the extra $600 to book first class.
No. If we haven't taught you this one in a while, like this is a really good opportunity to go up to the booking agent at the desk, drop a compliment or two, and then would it be ridiculous to ask, or would it be ridiculous to think that first class was completely full? I've had a long day. Might there be an upgrade for free option?
Yeah. Love it. Let's jump in. All right. So you've been working in our scale coaching through the Refined Network, scaling businesses, looking at their commission structures, looking at their service pricing. You did it to our salon. It's just made major impact. I don't know if you know this, but like, especially in the beginning, and I think everybody owns a business that has a business partner should do this. I was like, all right, let's see how these are going. And I would jump into these calls, like just because we record all of our calls.
Yep.
And man, the stuff that you're bringing to the table and hearing what the salons are saying.
Yeah.
I mean, we have salons that have worked with multiple coaching companies.
Yep.
And they're like, I've never thought about it this way. I've never seen it done this way.
Yeah.
And it's drastically changing their business.
Yeah.
So kudos to you.
Thanks.
What are some, because we've done this too, especially as like there's coaching companies coming through and new ways of doing things. At the Refined Network, we make salon growth simple.
Yeah.
We make it simple. I think people make things complex to make them feel smart and validated.
Right.
I'm like, that doesn't connect. So what are some things that salons, what are some metrics they should be paying attention to? And what are some that they should not be paying attention to?
Yeah. So, I think, we have to think about, what are we looking to do for our team? Right. And I think one of the things is providing growth, providing a path for growth, and helping them understand like the more simple that they could get a metric that gives them a pulse to where their business is at. I think that's the win, right? Rarely do I come across people that are like, I love having a bunch of metrics and I love having a bunch of different goals that I have to hit, right? Like what I find with most people is keep it simple, stupid, right? The KISS technique. And if you're able to go through and really, and I always want to say this, I have an open mind in the sense that my mind is not 100% made up on this point. However, I just have more data on it than even when I started. I mean, Evan, you're so right. Like when I go back, we've had a bunch of rounds of salons go through scale. And when it took me, in Anagen, it took us 5 years. I think in the 5th year we hit 7 figures. And when I've looked at the amount that we've shifted other businesses, like through scale, we did 7 figures within the first round that we changed other people's businesses. Right.
Yeah.
At this point of it, I mean, I wish that we could quantify that. Like I wish that we had access to all their 1040s and everything, for their overall sales. But, to jump back to the question, the metric that ties it into very, very easily to what a person makes in a year, is service sales per hour. Service sales per hour gives you so much data in a good, a really, really, really good one good metric that gives you the idea of the pulse, the strength, where that business is at, right? And then when you plug in the narrative of that artist, it gets really, really clear where they should be. And when we compare that to then, we're huge in the using cost of living as a baseline, and we're able to say, something that, a narrative that would make sense. A narrative that would make sense is, let's say that for, a particular cost of living goal, let's say it's like $60, right? Now, if someone came to me and they were like, I've been in the industry for 4 years. I am specialized. I do a lot of color. But I also have a, really well built and like well-rounded business. Like I'm not just like a lightning queen, right? Like I do a lot of different things. And they're like, I'm at $68. In my mind, like that tells me automatically that there is a number of things. Could be a pricing problem, could be how much time are you spending on services that aren't priced appropriately for the amount of time you're spending on them. It might tell me that there is a effectiveness problem, an efficiency problem, right? So it's the one metric that we're able to look at and say, okay, these are the potential narratives. Which one do you fall most into? Because that's where you coach them up then, right? I think of one person right now, and I know that she would be comfortable if I said her name, but I think it actually would serve her and be more respectful if I didn't. But I think of her right now, and we've done a lot of analysis within her business and the effectiveness of what happens when you overbook by 15 minutes. Her income has changed. She'll move into 6 figures. This year is, I think, where we have her
by doing what?
By being more aware of
more
book
efficiency.
Time.
Okay.
Well, here's the thing, right? Like, gosh, like let's say that you're color heavy. You do a lot of color business behind the chair, right? And oh well, I get a little anxious sometimes, like not knowing what they're going to ask for. What if you had better consultation and said, hey, I got it. I know where you want to go. Today, this is how much time that we have because I booked you appropriately based on our last conversation, right? We're going to start taking you in the direction. These are my options to accomplish this goal of yours. And at the finish of this goal, when you look at it, you let me know if we need to add more onto that next time. The next time I see you, we'll do that. What you just did there is, instead of being like, okay, well, I book extra time just so that when Evan comes in, whatever Evan wants, I'll be able to do what Evan wants. I can understand where like the empathy, and I can understand where the servant heart is coming in within that one. But you also have to remember that what if Evan doesn't want that service today? And then what happens? Well, I might have 30 to 45 minutes today that I thought that Evan was going to go for the thing, and Evan doesn't go for the thing, right?
Right.
So we worked on having some of those conversations, and it transformed your business. Because here's the thing. If you have wasted time, how do you make more money? Well, you're either going to pile more hours on, or you're going to become more effective and efficient within that time, or you're going to build up your business to the point that you raise your price point, and then you do both, right?
How is this different than other systems you've seen in the past? Because
yeah, so there's a methodology of, one of the big ones, I think that, I'll just say that Gordon Miller is doing a great job on debunking, is, just having a flat, hourly charge across the board. Because you might hear that he's like, oh, he's saying like charge by the hour. No, I'm not, to be very clear. Our haircuts are attached to the cost of living goal, the complexity of the service above and beyond that. And I'm not saying the haircuts are not complex, to be very clear. But we're making sure that when you're doing that service that is very simple back bar, that it's taken care of, right? So the main thing, Evan, to answer your question simply is, I've seen people that will do a service per hour that they'll just charge hourly. Here's the interesting thing is, the more time you spend with someone, normally the more expenses are added to that back bar. So it's actually the more expenses that you add for the more amount of time you spent, the less you make. So like, that's one of the things that we need to think about. And I think that's one of the things that within that methodology is a simple way for someone that's a one of one, right? You add that methodology into a team and you multiply that problem. that turns into a huge thing. And then cash flow is king, right?
Right.
So not only now cash flow's getting challenged, your team isn't making as much money, and out of whatever amount of hours you prescribe that is your full time, whether it's 30, whether it's 35, whether it's 38, whether it's 40, here's the thing at the end of the day. If we only have 40 hours and you have someone that's a color specialist and they're booking 4 hours at a clip for a color service and a haircut, let's just say, maybe it's extensions, whatever. So in that, if they're working 40 hours in a week, they can only see 10 clients. That's the math to it. So if they can only see 10 clients, how much money are they losing by that way of methodology? And that's why we go back to and say, every single service, which is a la carte, every single service I'm looking at, how trending is it? How often does that person have to come in? What is the complexity of it? And that's why we raise it from that cost of living index, right? And then we build up levels so that when, like, let's say, genuinely, this is the way I think about this. If someone went to school for 4 years, right? You look at economic data, someone that went to school for 4 years, there's going to be a number that's different than if you just had a high school degree. Why? It's because you became specialized. Right. So the way that we need to think about that differently is when I look and I see what someone is making in a specific area for that, that's one of many things we take into consideration, right? Next things are, what is the brand? How built is the business, right? But this is where all of these metrics all come back to average service sales per hour. Now to answer the other one, and again, what are the narratives that we want to have some awareness to? Average ticket, I like that one. Tells me a little bit of what's going on.
Right.
If average ticket is grossly different than average service sales per hour, I know to get curious, better understand the artist, know what's going on there. An average ticket that's incredibly high with a very low average service sales per hour, that tells me that there's a time problem. Right. Okay. So there's all these little things that go on in my mind when I'm looking at this, but it bakes it down. The last one that I maybe want to say is to this question, what would I say you shouldn't take into consideration? Don't, and I'll just shout out, Britt Siva, right? That's how you say her name. She's been big within this narrative as well. Don't hold people back for metrics that like retailing is important. And I want you to have an awareness that is part of your income. But also I want to acknowledge to say that like some people just naturally in that space of sales, this is not a cop out. It's just not in their personality type. So if you have one of those individuals in your company and you're holding them back because they're naturally never going to be a strong retailer, like let's say that they have like 9% as average and your goal set is in at 18%. You're holding them back. And here's the thing, commission salon owners, when your pricing is set up appropriately and your commission structures are appropriate, when you hold them back, not only they lose, but you lose, right?
Yeah.
Huge thing to think about.
Well, I know you said it. Retail is very important.
Incredibly.
It's incredibly important. And we still coach to it in our
100%,
company.
100%.
But think about you have a level 2 who could be at a level 5, but it's just retail holding them back.
Yep.
And so when we coached to it, we found out you coached our salon to this, and we were like, hey, just don't focus on retail next month.
Yeah.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
Retail went up.
Yeah.
Because the pressure was off.
Right.
And you start talking about like bonus. Like, hey, this is bonus. Because there's 3 ways you can make your income. Your tips, your services, and your retail.
Yep.
So if you're like, don't pay attention to retail at all as a service provider, you're losing out on one stream of income.
One stream of income, right?
It would be like us doing just events and not doing the Artist Academy, not doing coaching. It would be dumb. It's like, hey, you got to look at all the income streams that you could do in the company to serve the people.
Correct.
And that's one of them.
100%. And I like that you brought the focus that I've been, and again, like I'm saying, like if they're at 9%, your goal setting for 18, I'm just using that in a way of speak, right? The idea would be though is play that math out, right? Okay, so if they're consistently a 9% retailer and I have them up at level 5 pricing versus level 2, what happens? What happens to their clientele at level 5? There's a different amount of income that's available, right? If we can understand that people are people of convenience, this would be interesting data to look at. I actually think that by moving people up to higher service prices, I think it would be inarguable that you might actually turn them into a better retailer because that person wants consistency and convenience.
Yeah.
Kind of an interesting thing to think about, right? So like even that one, y'all, the numbers find the narrative. When you find the narrative and you compare it to what the path is, you will find growth. It's every single day of the week.
Yeah. And I think with RTS percentage, once we got our service pricing correct where it needs to be, our RTS dipped a little bit because now our service pricing is a lot more. So unless somebody's buying like shampoo, conditioner, a mask, styler, all that stuff. So it's not it's an important metric, but it's not one to hold people back.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Another one to look at is, I think it's important at a specific area of the business, but like rebooks at checkout versus total pre-books, right? Very, very different thing to look at. Rebooks at checkout could be low based on a specific type of client, but their overall rebooking rate could be higher, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a demand situation you want to look at. So like there's specific metrics that when you look at that in that way, referrals are another one. There's seasons of business and there's times in business that when you will have natural turnover, that is a thing. Now, if you're really, really effective and efficient on it and you're on social media and you're on your marketing game and you are showing what your openings are, there's a high amount that like if you have, think of it this way, if you have the type of clientele that does not rebook at checkout, but you still have a high pre-book, that narrative would say maybe that you should have a lot of room for referrals. Now, if you're effectively using social media and you have all of your clientele there, and when you're posting that you have a last minute opening and your existing clientele is filling it, you would have a less than likely opportunity to have a high referral number. Again, y'all, like I think of that thing like The Beautiful Mind when he's like in his shed and there's a post-it notes with all the strings everywhere.
That's your brain right now?
Yes.
I'm glad we got invited.
Yep. Yeah, it's organized. The Post-it notes they're all in a line, and all of the strings have specific colors. It's very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So, if this like spoke to you, you're like, maybe you completely disagree.
Yeah.
It's totally fine.
Yeah. I'd love to have a conversation on that.
But I do think there's most of the salons that we've been working with, they've realized, oh my gosh, I'm holding back my company from growth from X.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you should be profitable on services alone.
Yes, sir.
And retail should be a bonus.
Yes.
And it helps with cash flow.
Yes.
So what I don't want you to hear is that we're saying no to retail. No.
Huge component of your business.
Yeah. Retail is very, very good. Both of our salons are fully stocked with retail.
Yes. I mean, we put a large footprint to it.
Yep.
Right. And I think for that exact reason, and I love that you're really driving in on this one, Evan, because the thing is, people today want convenience. Convenience is luxury, right? And I cannot be convinced within the methodology of, there's specific coaching companies that are dogging on retail, right? There's specific coaching companies that will say, take retail out of your salon, put another station there. I just cannot agree. I mean, I think of right now, we run healing centers, right? We are Lanza healing centers. And when you think of the unique relationship that we have with Lanza and the reward side of what we get with Lanza because of that relationship.
Yeah.
Dude, I just placed, I'll say this transparently. I just placed a $3,900 order on rewards. $3,900 worth of product is coming into my business for free because of my relationship and our partnership with Lanza.
Did you get TVs with us?
Yes, sir. Dude, I even got, tell you what, Lanza came out with these Stanleys. Did you guys get Stanleys? Dude.
Yes.
They are gorgeous. I drink 2 of them now before I leave my house in the morning. Gorgeous. Shout out Lanza.
Yeah. Yeah. We use our points for the travel size.
Yep.
And healing oil.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
Because you use your points to buy stuff, to sell, 100% profit.
Yeah.
But,
yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So yes, all of the things, if there's been something within this conversation, one on the side of, from a metric standpoint, if we've said something that might have hit you from a commission, from a structured standpoint, we're here to serve you, right?
Yep.
That is called scale coaching. And that is it's a deep dive. It's 3 to 6 months. Right now, currently speaking, we are full and we are not accepting new clients into that program until July. There's still a few spots there. And then the latest that we'll be bringing them in this year is going to be at the Leaders Retreat in September. That will be the last point that you'll be able to onboard into Scale for 2025. Here's the thing, y'all. If you have not taken the time and gone into the back end of the business, right now we are in a absolute prime time with everything that's going on within the world and everything's going on within the economy. It's never been more justified to do this work. Everything is expensive today, and all the way down to our finishing point on having great partnerships that help out your business. Partner with people that support your business. Clean and clear.